Hello. Hi, Britt, Jamie, Nancy, Angela, Jamie, Wendy, Bethany, Matthew. What a wonderful morning already. Welcome, Lauren. I know I've been in touch with a handful of you even today, and it's morning for me here in Bali. Hi, J.E. Where is the class going? Like I feel, oh, how? I was like wondering. Okay, my money mindset group, it is going. It's stretching me outside of my comfort zone. It's, yeah, rewarding and powerful and going very well. Thank you. Hi, Jamie. I'm gonna click on somebody's thing. Okay. Because I know most of you, like those that join every time, I know your pictures, but I don't know all of them. So, as the more you come and interact, then I learn. So, hi, April, welcome. Yeah, busy morning, which is good. It's very good because it's not work. Yeah, this is just my life. One of my favorite affirmations from, after I left my job of almost 13 years in a huge tower moment. Many of you know that story, December 21st, 2020 at 12 midnight. And then I jumped into coaching. And for like the first month, I just every day went around my life and was like, this is just my life. There's no separation between work and life. There was no payoff between, oh, I've got to go to work. I have to go to work so that I can then live and have this lifestyle and have this amazing life. This was during COVID. I was living in Phuket, Thailand. And yeah, this is just my life. And it still is. And yeah, I mean, I can get into an energy of like things to do, but it's all for me now. This is all for me. I mean, not me directly, but I'm not working for somebody else. I'm not putting in this effort because I have a boss telling me to. So, yeah, I'm so grateful. So grateful. So that wanted to be shared. This is for somebody here that is not happy in their job or their work situation that needs to hear this or gets to hear this. And that what's possible for you. You know, it was during COVID. The world, everything's always uncertain, and also there was much more uncertainty. And from a practical view or a three-dimensional view, it would be the stupidest thing ever for somebody to leave voluntarily a stable job that with a stable income, with a paycheck every week for almost 13 years to go and start a new business, to become a life coach, just me on my own. No training, I did have a coach, but I wasn't even like going to, oh, let me go join this group of coaches and all, no, it was just me alone, just one person, just singly alone. And even single, like no partner, nobody to lean on. And then here we are 3.5 years later. And within that, because my job had told me, they gave me an option, a shitty option that they knew I would, they probably would have been surprised if I took it, but they gave me an option. You could move back to the US on your own dime within 6 weeks during COVID. And we want you to start coming into the office again a few days a week, so you must live within 2 hours of the office. But yeah, if you want to keep your job, then this is how it's going to be. I considered that option for literally 3 seconds. And my soul was just a hell fucking no, like the most adamant. You hear about, ooh, I'm a full body yes. I'm a hell yes to this. I was the exact opposite to that. And yet it would have been the safe thing to do. Play it safe, have a stable income, be secure. This job I'd had for 13 years almost. But my soul was like, no. No, 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 no. So I've written a blog post about it. I pretty much shared most of what's in the post. But yeah, this is for somebody, because this is just like coming out of nowhere, which is great. So if I'm talking to you, I'm happy to offer a conversation for you to vision into what is that in that for you in your future. Everything you want's on the other side of fear. If I would have allowed fear to stop me, everything I wanted was on the other side. I was stuck in that job for years. I was too afraid to leave. I wouldn't leave because it's like I have a steady job. I make American dollars. I live wherever I want, in the world, and have this amazing, guaranteed income, this job. But I was miserable and I hated it for like 5 years every day. But then I had the judgment like, well, I should be grateful because I have this life and all of that. So there was a lot of energy there. And then whatever you want to call it, God, universe, my higher self, karma, the great conjunction of Saturn and Jupiter that happens once every 600 years. This happened on, at the pinnacle moment, like in the sky of that conjunction when that conversation occurred. Just happened to be scheduled at that time. So I'm a big believer in astrology because of that too, along with many other things. But yeah, so the universe pushed me out of there, basically. Forced me out because I wasn't listening to my soul screaming at me for 5 years. So, hi Allison, so glad to have you for long term. And so many of you, thank you, thank you, thank you. If I would have stayed in that job, none of us would be here together. Like, I know y'all would be an insight timer and whatever, but and so many of you that have joined every week and often, that have been following me for years. Like, none of us would be here. Like, this whole thing that I've created wouldn't exist. The people that I've supported wouldn't, have had their lives impacted in the way that they have. So, what is on the other side of fear for you? There's a possibility there. There's, something you can't even see. Hi, Laura. Yeah, Lauren, it was. Hi, Rose. So, what do you mean, Laura, about Bali? How did I know it was the place? Not quite following you. Hi, Faye. So, moving forward and trusting that is here for a reason for somebody today. I had to go live in Bali? No. What I was living in Thailand when the job thing happened. It was during COVID. So, yeah, help me to understand what you're asking, and I'm happy to share. So if you are new, please give me a follow here on Insight Timer. And you can catch my replays on YouTube. Follow me there, Facebook, Instagram. I have a group here, Natalie's Healing Circle. I have meditations here. Please check them out. More will be added. No, Laura, I left the U.S. 11 years ago. So, I was in Thailand when the job thing happened. Yeah. Hi, Deb. So today we will likely complete, or we'll see how it flows, our Byron Katie topic, which is so powerful and life-changing. I know many of you have been here for the series or other lives I've done on Byron Katie, or maybe you know Byron Katie just on your own. So if you're catching this live now, it's totally fine. And also, we've already read through the material, the Little Booklet, which is like a deep overview into the Byron Katie work in the Judge Your Neighbor worksheet. So we'll continue to dive in and see what's here and what's left. First, I want to ask, does anybody here not know what I'm talking about with Byron Katie? And just is like, who is this? What is this? So I want to, briefly bring people up to speed at least for a minute. But if everybody here or in the replay, make a comment too, if that's you. If you are totally new to Byron Katie, let me know. So welcome, Demon. Loving What Is. Yes, that's kind of her most famous book. She's got others. Awesome. Glad you're here. Hi, Rochelle. Hi, Kiana. Soulmates. Love how you call everyone soulmates, because we all are. So, hi, Mishi. We have, like I said, we've been through Loving What Is. We've dove into it. We've kind of walked through doing a worksheet. So we have the work, which is in the format of a worksheet that's called the Judge Your Neighbor worksheet. So the Judge Your Neighbor worksheet is the process in which you do the framework of the work, which is questioning your thoughts, basically. So, if anybody was here last week, I'm 99% sure where we are, but there's 1% that's wondering where we are. Because I believe we're in the place where it says your turn, the inquiry, and it's inviting you to do a Judge Your Neighbor worksheet, which we kind of have already been doing as we've read through this, and I'm looking at it on my phone. So, basically, if you have a worksheet with you, great, that's fine. You can do this. If you don't, that's fine also. Everyone can think of a stressful situation where you're judging somebody else. So you're not going to have a problem finding a situation. Make it a situation about somebody else, not about yourself. Also make it like a personal situation. And I like to say it in the form of he or she or they should or shouldn't have blank. Because that's something really easily tangible to pull from a situation. So you want it to be a specific situation. I just did this with a client last night. It's really powerful. This is really powerful work. You want to have, it works best if you keep it very simple and you keep it very clear. And we went over this before. If it's you're doing the work on your mother and there's a lifetime of resentment or a lifetime of issues, like she always or she never does this or that, you want to go into one specific time when you can pinpoint a situation where something was occurring. Because this really is a meditation after you go through the questions. So you write these questions down on paper. She has an app. You can use the app. You can, type it into your phone. The tactile writing is optimal, and also just do it whatever way works. Doing it in your head is not recommended. I know here right now that might be how you're going to do it, and that's fine. But just to say, best case, optimal, write it out on a piece of paper or write it in your journal. And at the bare minimum, put it in your phone in a note or something. Don't just do it in your head. So, hi Jessica. Questions so far? Are we up to speed a bit? Okay. So there's the questions on the worksheet, and once you fill those out, then we do the work, which is a meditation, sort of a meditative practice. So, as we've gone over before, I'm just going to read over the questions. Ooh, butterfly. In a Judge Your Neighbor worksheet. And then we'll do the work. So, wait, I want to stop. Am I missing something, Kiana? You just did your first live with them? Do you mean you just did your first live as a teacher? Oh, I totally didn't get what you meant. Wow, oh my gosh. I didn't get a notification. I need to check that. Everybody, okay, before we proceed, let's just take a pause and celebrate Kiana. Amazing. So please give Kiana a follow here. She is a fellow Insight Timer teacher now, and she is new And she just did her first live stream. Oh my God. So some of y'all were there. Lindsay, Allison. Ooh, I'm so excited. Thank you, thank you, thank you for sharing this. Awesome. Wow. Yes. Kiana has such an amazing presence, um, an amazing pure heart to be of service, and she definitely has a gift with like speaking and inspiring. So I've totally, um, yeah, experienced that with Kiana. Invite you to experience that as well, and also, support her everywhere that she is. So, yeah. And I love Kiana. I think you joined in after, but I basically just shared the story of me like being live on Insight Timer and having this experience. So it's interesting, and I had left my job. So I just shared all of that. And I was just like, oh my God, if I wouldn't have like taken the leap and left my job and become a coach and gone on Insight Timer, like this wouldn't be happening right now, and so much wouldn't have happened. So that's interesting. Yeah. If it's interesting to you, go check the replay after in the first 10 minutes. But anyway, wow. Amazing, amazing. Great. So, yeah, magic and miracles right now. Thank you. Okay, so awesome. Judge your neighbor worksheet. We want to look at number 1. So it's a series of a couple questions. In this situation, so whatever stressful situation you're doing this work on, who angers, confuses, saddens, or disappoints you, and why? So then you would answer, I don't like, I'm angry at, I'm saddened, I'm frightened, I'm confused by, because. Okay? So you want to look at what's up? Why are you upset? You want to keep it simple, short sentences, not going into a lot of story. Number 2, in this situation, how do you want them to change? What do you want them to do? I want blank to blank. Maybe it's something where you're mad because somebody yelled at you, let's just say. So I'm mad at blah blah because they yelled at me. In the situation, what do you want them to change? What do you want them to do? I want them to apologize. Right? So it can be very simple. Hi, Danny. I'm so glad so many of you were there for Kiana. Yeah, I totally need to check. I've noticed with Insight Timer notifications, at least for me on my phone, like it's random the ones that I get. So, yeah. Aw, wow. Thank you for sharing that, Jessica. And thank you, Kiana. I feel like having a special moment with Kiana and everyone, because we're all in this together. Yeah, totally. This is just the beginning. And y'all have heard me talk about, especially because I like to celebrate anniversaries. And so, like, my 1 year live anniversary, 2 years, 3 years. And it's like, wow, I never thought it would end up where I am today. When I started and did that first live stream, I had it in my mind. Oh, this is how this is going to look. This is how the journey is going to be. This is what I'm going to be doing. I'm just going to be doing a guided meditation. And then here we are. And then even now, like where it's going to go from here. So awesome. Woo woo. Yeah. So and that's life. That's everything, right? That's everything. And I'm just going to pause for a moment because it just seems like other things want to be said. Um, if that's cool with everybody. I'm about to send out my monthly email newsletter. No, 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 no. I trust it's all perfect and exactly what's needed. So, thank you. And thanks whoever Allison was like bringing in that you had gone live and I didn't get what you were saying that you had done that. So, yeah, all good. Um, I am about to send out my monthly email newsletter, and it's my birthday next week, as y'all likely know, many of you know. Um, and I'm giving some special offers in there, some things that I offer here, and a couple other just, birthday celebration offerings, um, in ways that you can work with me. And also, I shared in there a link to a video in which I am being coached. And this happened like 10 days ago. And it was really impactful and vulnerable and scary and powerful. And my coach shared it within our coaches community. And even while it was happening live in Zoom, there was so much support and identification. But basically, it's me having a meltdown, in a very messy human meltdown, or whatever. Meltdown is a judgment. I was having a lot of emotions and crying and full of fear. So I titled the video False Evidence Appearing Real, because that's an acronym for fear. And I was caught up in the fear, you know? And I broke the clip up into two parts. I'm going to send the first part to my email list. I have the full clip as well. I'm sharing just to different people. But basically, it's the same thing where fear, like if I would have let fear control me, I would never have taken the leap to jump into coaching, to be where I am now, or to go and do the live stream for the first time, or become a teacher, all of that stuff. And it's like there's always another level, and fear is always going to come, and we all have it. And I, whatever, in the past, I've been having some challenges, which are all here to help me, which are opportunities. I've been having a lot of opportunities come up lately in my life, which is good because it's pushing me out of my comfort zone and causing me to stretch and grow and change. So, this video I shared is very vulnerable and honest. And that's our superpower. That's my superpower, one of them. I don't pretend to have my shit together. And also, I don't just come on here dumping my shit either, right? There's a balance. And it's okay if that happens, but yeah. So if you want to receive that newsletter with the offerings and the video, or if you just want the video, you can send me a message. I know it will impact you and inspire you. It's like we do it, we take action despite the fear. Elizabeth Gilbert talks about it in her book, Big Magic. We don't have fear get out of the car. We just have fear get out of the driver's seat. We don't even have fear like in the passenger seat. We put it in the back seat. It can stay. We're going anyway, but it's not going to be damn driving. So, thank you, Shaw. All right. Anything else about any of that? Because I do want to honor what we're here for, because I know many of you have joined to dive into the Byron Katie stuff. And also, you know, other juicy stuff is coming up too. So we're here for all of it. But is there anything else before we continue back into Byron Katie? Anything? Anyone going once, going twice? Okay. So even something might be coming up for you around this, if it is like job related, like, because that's kind of what I've been talking about, you know. Like, I could definitely have done a Judge Your Neighbor worksheet on my job shouldn't have, like, did what they did. They shouldn't have done that. Definitely could do a Judge Your Neighbor worksheet. So, ooh, April, you're leaving your job next month. Awesome. Congratulations. You know, for me, like, this journey, it's been the hardest thing I've ever done. Well, maybe not aside from getting clean and sober off alcohol and drugs as a very, you know, out of control alcoholic and drug addict. So maybe aside from that and maybe a couple other things, this has been like one of the hardest things I've ever done and most rewarding. Jamie, great question. So I feel like that's more of an advanced way to do the work. And I am not at that level even myself. I feel like if we were in a one-on-one conversation, I would dig a bit deeper in thinking about, you know, there's a judgment somewhere, you know, maybe about a situation outside of yourself that maybe could indirectly relate to the physical experience. So, and also, I mean, Byron, or Katie as she goes by, Katie always says, yeah, that you always want to start, especially if you're new, doing the work as we're saying, like outside the self with somebody else, because we're going to confront our own thinking in that process. So going back to the questions, number 3 in the Judge Your Neighbor worksheet. In this situation, what advice would you offer them? So I gave the very simple thing, you know, Nancy shouldn't have yelled at me. I just made it up. What advice would I offer Nancy? Nancy shouldn't yell at me. Nancy should control her emotions. Gets juicy, doesn't it? Yes, Jamie. So wherever there may be thoughts of blame or victim around why the body is the way it is, to where there's a resentment outside of yourself, of where the mind wants to blame or point fingers. Again, it's best to one person in one situation, but you can kind of like extrapolate it from there. Like it might be like work stress is why I'm feeling this way, or why this has occurred, or that's the story that your mind is saying. Okay, well, who in the workplace? And I know you brought up somebody before. And then, okay, well, they always do this, or they never do that, or maybe that time they did this or that. You know, go into one time, one moment. And I would invite you, I'm going to coach you, challenge you for a second. Change your language. Causing internal implosion. Oh gosh. That's a very energetic word. So start noticing where these descriptors are, and change it, because that's your subconscious speaking. So we can change our subconscious by changing our conscious thoughts. I mean, that's what affirmations are. So I would invite you to say something like, the physical issue, not mine, or the physical sensation, or something as neutral as you can get it. Hi, Tawana. Welcome. Question 4. In order for you to be happy in this situation, what do you need them to think, say, feel, or do? I need Nancy to apologize. I need her to admit she was wrong, and I need her to say she was sorry she yelled and that she shouldn't have yelled at me. In this theoretical situation. Number 5, what do you think of them in this situation? Make a list. Remember, be petty and judgmental. Nancy was immature. She was selfish. She was closed-minded. She was flying off at the handle. Be petty and judgmental. Number 6. What is it about the situation that you don't ever want to experience again? I don't ever want blank. Sorry, Nancy. Okay, do I need to pick somebody whose name is not here? I don't ever want Jimmy Bob. I don't think we have a Jimmy Bob here. I don't ever want Jimmy Bob to yell at me again. I don't ever want Jimmy Bob to chastise me again. I don't ever want to feel scared of Jimmy Bob again. So what do you not want to ever experience again in that situation? Okay. So, questions, comments before we move forward? Now I'm going to read and continue. So it says, your turn, the inquiry, and this is in the little booklet on page 25 on the actual page. So it says, your turn, the inquiry. One by one, put each statement, the ones we just did, on the Judge Your Neighbor worksheet up against the 4 questions. We're going to go over those. That's the actual work, the 4 questions. Then turn around the statement you're working on and find at least 3 specific, genuine examples for each turnaround. So we went through this last time. You can check my replay on my YouTube if you want to, or I can send you the link to that in a private message if you want to review other sessions. It's in a playlist, or you can, um, work through it in your own way, or ask me a question, whatever, reach out. Throughout this process, explore being open to possibilities beyond what you think you know. There's nothing more exciting than discovering the don't know mind. This work is meditation. It's like diving into yourself. Contemplate the questions. Drop down into the depths of yourself. Listen and wait. The answer will find your question. No matter how closed down or hopeless you think you are, the gentler polarity of mind, which I call the heart, will meet the polarity that is confused because it hasn't yet been enlightened to itself. You may begin to experience revelations about yourself and your world, revelations that will transform your whole life forever. So, if you do have a worksheet, if you do have a situation, let's do the work. Look at the first statement you've written on your worksheet. So going back to the questions, the juicy, fun stuff where you're judging your neighbor. You just take one of those statements. Question 1, is it true? Now this is where we get into the meditative part. Reality for me is what's true. The truth is whatever is in front of you, whatever is really happening. Whether you like it or not, it's raining now. It shouldn't be raining, it's just a thought. In reality, there's no such thing as a should or shouldn't. These are only thoughts that we impose onto reality. Without the should and shouldn't, we can see reality as it is. And this leaves us free to act efficiently, clearly, and sanely. So in this thing about having a fight with somebody, and we don't like it, we don't want it, we think it shouldn't be happening. The should is placed on top of reality and causes suffering. When asking the first question, take your time. The answer is either yes or no. If it's no, move to question 3. The work is about discovering what is true from the deepest part of yourself. You are listening for your answers now, not other people's, and not anything you've been taught. This can be very unsettling at first because you're entering the unknown. As you continue to dive deeper, allow the truth within you to rise and meet the question. Be gentle as you give yourself to inquiry. Let the experience have you completely. So surrender to it. So whatever the situation is, and that's why it's best you have one very specific moment. If it is a fight and you're being yelled at, you're in that moment. If it's stressful, see it from far away. In that moment, is it true? They shouldn't be yelling at me. It's a yes or no question, and there's no right or wrong answer. But just be in an inquiry. Because it is what's happening. If you take away should or shouldn't, what's left? Question 2. Can you absolutely know that it's true? Can you absolutely know that it's true? If your answer to question 1 is yes, ask yourself, can I absolutely know that it's true? In many cases, the statement appears to be true. Of course it does. Your concepts are based on a lifetime of uninvestigated beliefs. After I woke up to reality in 1986, I noticed many times how people in conversations, the media, books, made statements such as, there isn't enough understanding in the world, there's too much violence, we should love each other more. These were stories I used to believe too. They seemed sensitive, kind, and caring, but as I heard them, I noticed that believing them caused stress and that they didn't feel peaceful inside of me. For instance, when I heard someone say people should be more loving, the question would arise in me, can I absolutely know that that's true? Can I really know for myself, within myself, that people should be more loving? Even if the whole world tells me so, is it really true? And to my amazement, when I listened within myself, I saw that the world is what it is in this moment. And that in this moment, people couldn't possibly be more loving than they were. Where reality is concerned, there is no what should be. There is only what is, just the way it is right now. The truth is prior to every story, and every story prior to investigation prevents us from seeing what's true. Now I could finally inquire of every potentially uncomfortable story. Can I absolutely know that it's true? And the answer, like the question, was an experience. No. I would stand rooted in that answer, solitary, peaceful, and free. How could no be the right answer? Everyone I knew in all the books said the answer should be yes. But I came to see that the truth is itself and will not be dictated to by anyone. In the presence of that inner no, I came to see that the world is always as it should be, whether I oppose it or not. And I came to embrace reality with all my heart. I love the world without any conditions. If your answer is still yes, good. If you think that you can absolutely know that that's true, that's as it should be. And it's fine to move on to question 3. So, were anyone's beliefs challenged in that? Hi, Mary. Hi, Jude. So, in a classroom teaching situation, thanks for sharing this. You don't ever want to feel the lack of control inside when surprised and disrespected. Yes. So it's about the looking within. It's never about the situation outside. It's about us. And we all know this from Michael Singer very well. Quit. Okay. Yeah, because there's an opportunity here. Within the challenge is an opportunity. There's an opportunity for something to arise if you stay for the opportunity. If you quit and get another job, you're going to bring yourself with you. And if you are a teacher and you're going into another classroom, I can imagine, sure, maybe some things will be different, but some things will probably be the same. So it's not about changing the external reality, but about your internal circumstance, which is what this work does, is free yourself from needing anything to be different. And that last question, I don't ever want to feel surprised out of the blue by disrespect again. That question turns into, I'm willing to be surprised. I'm willing to be disrespected again. And then I look forward to being surprised. And I look forward to being disrespected again. Because when you can actually do that, then you're free. So we're going to get there in a minute. Thanks for sharing. So you have your situation. I'm using this fight. Blank, Jimmy Joe shouldn't have yelled at me. Is that thought true? As we just went through, you feel into it. It's a yes or no in the body. If you say, no, it's not true, he shouldn't have yelled at me, that's a not true statement, you go to question 3, we're about to do. If you're like, no, it's true, yes, he should not have yelled, then you go to question 2. Can you absolutely know that it's true? Can you absolutely know that it's true? Then you feel deeper, and then everything I just read. And then, really, on an absolute sense, can we absolutely know anything is true? But if you feel it and you're a yes, you can have your yes. It's absolutely true, he shouldn't have yelled at me. But I don't know. If I'm in a don't know mind, then I don't know. I cannot know that it's absolutely true. So then question 3 we'll do next. Thank you, Britt. Thank you. Thank you. Now you see why I shared that. So the video I was talking about, I shared with Britt. So thank you. And good night. Awesome, Jamie. Yeah, it's just about pulling ourselves apart from the thoughts. It's only our thoughts that create the suffering. Great. Welcome, Eddie. So, question 3. How do you react? What happens when you believe that thought? They shouldn't have yelled at me. So this, again, is a meditation, is an inquiry. How do you react? What happens when you believe that thought? So those of you that are writing a situation, you're in a situation. Jude, thank you for that situation you shared. That's a really good one. So with this question, we begin to notice internal cause and effect. You can see that when you believe the thought, there is an uneasy feeling, a disturbance that can range from mild discomfort to fear or panic. After the 4 questions found me, I would notice thoughts like people should be more loving, and I would see that thoughts like these caused a feeling of uneasiness in me. I noticed that prior to the thought there was peace. My mind was quiet and serene. This is who I am without my story. Then, in the stillness of awareness, I began to notice the feelings that came from believing or attaching to the thought. And in the stillness, I could see that if I were to believe the thought, the result would be a feeling of unease and sadness. When I asked, how do I react when I believe the thought that people should be more loving? I saw that not only did I have an uncomfortable feeling, this was obvious, but I also reacted with mental pictures to prove that the thought was true. I flew off into a world that didn't exist. I reacted by living in a stressed body, seeing everything through fearful eyes, a sleepwalker, someone in a seemingly endless nightmare. The remedy was simply to investigate. I love question 3. Once you answer it for yourself, once you see the cause and effect of believing a thought, all your suffering begins to unravel. I have chills. And I'm just reflecting on the session last night and doing this work with a client, and what started opening up. So we have the thought, they shouldn't have yelled at me. Is it true? Can you absolutely know that it's true? They shouldn't have yelled at me. How do you react, and what happens when you believe the thought, they shouldn't have yelled at me? I feel angry. I feel belligerent. I feel sensations in my chest. My heart constricts. There's a heat in my body. Then I'm mentally yelling back. I'm imagining I'm back in the scene and I'm yelling back at them. So I'm not even here. I'm in a fantasy world and I'm not present. I'm not in reality. And she goes deeper too, and we went through this last time, of like, do you go to addictions? Do you go to TV? Do you want to take a drink? Do you want to pig out? Do you want to spend? Do you want to watch porn, whatever it is? Yeah, totally. And this, again, it's a meditation. So I've offered this before, and I am willing to offer it very limited because I've got a lot on offer right now. But if there's somebody here who, wants to have a one-on-one session where we do this together and I facilitate this with you, send me a message. It would be gifted. And you've got to be willing to be open-minded, to have your beliefs challenged. That would be the requirement. Question 4, who would you be without the thought? This is a very powerful question. Who or what would you be without the thought? How would you be without the thought? Visualize yourself standing in the presence of the person you've written about when they are doing what you think they shouldn't be doing. Now, just for a minute or two, close your eyes. Imagine who you would be if you didn't even have the ability to think this thought. How would your life be different in the same situation without the thought? Keep your eyes closed and watch them without your story. What do you see? How do you feel about them without the story? Which do you prefer, with or without the story? Which feels kinder? Which feels more peaceful? For many people, life without their story is literally unimaginable. They have no reference for it. So I don't know is a common answer to the question. Other people answer by saying, I'd be free, I'd be peaceful, I'd be a more loving person. You could also say, I'd be clear enough to understand the situation and act in an appropriate, intelligent way. Without our stories, we are not only able to act clearly and fearlessly, we are also a friend, a listener. We are people living happy lives. We are appreciation and gratitude that have become as natural as breath itself. Happiness is the natural state for someone who knows that there's nothing to know and that we already have everything we need right here now. Who would you be without the thought they should or shouldn't have done the thing? In that moment, in the moment when it's happening, your mind can't conjure the thought. It doesn't exist. You are just a person there without a story. What's left? In the yelling example, there are two people standing nearby each other, and one person is saying something and one person is listening. That is the fact without the story. Words are being spoken into the air. And if I'm here in that situation without the story, without the reaction, without believing it shouldn't be happening, then what's left? Peace, freedom. So, the next part, and we're almost finished with the work, and again, this is like a meditative experience. And it's best until you get practice to do it with somebody else. I had invited my client, and she had done a number of Judge Your Neighbor worksheets, but this was the first time it was facilitated live in our session. It was a completely different experience for her than just doing it on the paper and reading it and coming to her own conclusions. So the next part is the turnarounds. So after you've gone through the 4 questions, then we do the turnarounds. To do these, find opposites of the original statement on your worksheet. And if y'all have been here for the mini-series, we've dove into this and done the examples. And if you miss those, you can find them on my YouTube. You can ask me for the links, send me a message. Often a statement can be turned around to the self, to the other, and to the opposite. So first, the turnaround to the self. Write it as if it were about you. Where you've written someone's name, put yourself. Instead of he or she or they, put I. For example, Paul doesn't listen to me turns into I don't listen to myself. Ooh. Paul doesn't listen to me turns into I don't listen to myself. He shouldn't have yelled at me turns into I shouldn't have yelled at myself. And then I look at that. Or I shouldn't have yelled at him. Because even if I didn't yell outwardly, I was yelling in my mind with my thoughts. So you want to find at least 3 specific, genuine examples of how this turnaround is as true or truer than the original statement. Next is the turnaround to the other. Paul doesn't listen to me becomes I don't listen to Paul. A third type is a 180-degree turnaround to the extreme opposite. Paul doesn't listen to me becomes Paul does listen to me. Don't forget, for each turnaround, find at least 3 specific, genuine examples of how the turnaround is true for you in this situation. This is not about blaming yourself or feeling guilty. It's about discovering alternatives that can bring you peace. Not every statement has as many as 3 turnarounds, and some have more than 3. Some turnarounds may or may not make sense to you, and don't force these. For each turnaround, go back and start with the original statement. For example, he shouldn't waste his time may be turned around to I shouldn't waste my time, I shouldn't waste his time, and he should waste his time. The turnarounds are a very powerful part of the work. As long as you think that the cause of your problem is out there, as long as you think that anyone or anything else is responsible for your suffering, the situation's hopeless. It means you're forever in the role of the victim, that you're suffering in paradise. So bring the truth home to yourself and begin to set yourself free. It's no longer necessary to wait for people or situations to change in order to experience peace and harmony. The work is the direct way to orchestrate your own happiness. So as I said before, the last statement, number 6, that's, what you don't ever want to experience again in the situation. It's a separate turnaround. It's a little different. So I don't ever want to turns around to I'm willing to and I look forward to. For example, I don't ever want Paul to lie to me again turns around to I'm willing to have Paul lie to me again, and I look forward to having Paul lie to me again. These turnarounds are about embracing all of life just as it is, saying and meaning I'm willing to. Creates open-mindedness, creativity, and flexibility. Any resistance you may have is softened, and that allows you to open up to the situation in your life rather than keep hopelessly applying willpower to eradicate it or push it away. Saying and meaning I look forward to actively opens you to life as it unfolds. Some of us have learned to accept what is, and I invite you to go further to actually love what is. This is our natural state. Freedom is our birthright. It's good to acknowledge that the same feelings or situation may happen again, if only in your thoughts. When you realize that suffering and discomfort are the call to inquiry and to the freedom that follows, you may actually begin to look forward to uncomfortable feelings. You may even experience them as friends, coming to show you what you have not yet investigated thoroughly enough. So that reminds me of Michael Singer, where he's like, something happens, you have resistance, you don't like it, you don't want it. And he says, throw it a party, that it's coming up. So we just naturally resist it. So we get to work on changing that. So I know it's come up about doing the worksheet on yourself. So there's a Q&A section. We're going to end in just a minute, but this I want to say now, and I'll say it again next time, about doing this on yourself. Okay? So it's a Q&A question. I have a hard time writing about others. Can I write about myself? Answer. If you want to know yourself, I suggest you write about someone else. Point the work outward in the beginning, and you may come to see that everything outside you is a direct reflection of your thinking. It's all about you. Most of us have been pointing criticism and judgments at ourselves for years, and it hasn't solved anything yet. Judging someone else, questioning these judgments, and turning them around is the fast path to understanding and self-realization. I mean, we've already been judging the shit out of ourselves everywhere all the time. So how well has that worked? Like, there's nothing wrong with you. Shaming ourselves into change would have worked decades ago. Judging ourselves, I should or shouldn't have blank. I mean, we're already doing that. So we get to do it with the other and then do the work on it. Jessie. Hi, Jessie. Ooh. Great one. I'm willing to be manipulated again. I look forward to being manipulated again. Because there's no resistance there. And if those statements stick in your throat or like you resist it, then there's still more work to be done, and more judge your neighbor worksheets, and more questioning your thoughts. So what happens is the more you dive into this, the more it's going to become automatic. Yes, still do worksheets, but you're just going to start thinking, the more you condition yourself, oh, he shouldn't have cut me off in traffic. Is that thought true? No. Ooh, she shouldn't have gossiped about me at work and told so-and-so blah, blah, blah. Is that thought true? So that starts to become a pattern interrupt. So we'll wrap up here for today. And let's see, I think I did. Yes, so we do have next week another live on this topic, and we will finish it for now, and we'll see what else unfolds. But there's still the Q&A. There's still some more questions. Let's see how much. And of course, we will fill the time like we did today. There's actually quite a bit there for questions remaining in the little booklet that I'm reading from. If you want a copy of that booklet, the instructions, the Judge Your Neighbor worksheet, send me a message. Don't forget to follow me here on Insight Timer. If you don't already, give a donation if this space is helpful for you. And follow me everywhere. And yeah, if you are ready to do the work, if you want to be free from your thoughts, from suffering about a situation, and you're willing to look, and have your thinking be challenged, reach out. Yeah, that's a great question, Lauren. And you're asking, what everybody is thinking. I'm pretty sure this is covered in the booklet. Okay. So this will fit, Lauren. I'm going to go ahead and read. Actually, it's the next question. So take this in with an open mind. And so this is like Q&A with the author, Byron Katie. Question. I heard you say you're a lover of reality. What about war, rape, poverty, violence, and child abuse? So, Lauren, you could put whatever circumstance, if it fits within that, or anybody that has some, situation where there was, wrongs done, unpleasant things happening. It says, are you condoning them? Meaning, are you like forgiving them or allowing those things to be okay? Or like, whatever. Answer. How could I condone them? I'm not crazy. I simply notice that if I believe they shouldn't exist when they do, I suffer. Meaning, war, rape, poverty, violence, blah, blah, blah. And you can put whatever situation that's in your mind that you have this question about into that. I simply notice that if I believe they shouldn't exist, when they do exist, I suffer. Can I just end the war in me? Can I stop raping myself and others with my abusive thoughts? If not, I'm continuing in myself the very thing I want to end in the world. Sanity doesn't suffer ever. Can you eliminate war everywhere on earth? Through inquiry, you can begin to eliminate it for one human being, you. This is the beginning of the end of war in the world. If life upsets you, good. Judge the war makers on paper, inquire and turn it around. Do you really want to know the truth? All suffering begins and ends with you. So what you're saying is that I should just accept reality as it is and not argue with it. Is that right? It's not up to me to say what anyone should or shouldn't do. I simply ask, what is the effect of arguing with reality? How does it feel? The work explores the cause and effect of attaching to painful thoughts, and in that investigation we find our freedom. To simply say that we shouldn't argue with reality just adds another story, another spiritual concept. It hasn't ever worked. So, does that help? I mean, it's not like, there's a lot in there. Jamie, if you're still here, I'm seeing the question about the body. And anyone else who wondered if you can do the work on the body. So it says, what if I don't have a problem with people? Well, we all do, but can I write about things like my body? The answer is yes. Do the work on any subject that is stressful. As you become familiar with the 4 questions and the turnarounds, you may choose objects such as the body, disease, career, or even God. Then experiment with using the term my thinking in place of the object when you do the turnarounds. So an example would be, my body should be strong, flexible, and healthy. Becomes, my thinking should be strong, flexible, and healthy. Isn't that what you really want? A balanced, healthy mind? Has a sick body ever been a problem, or is it your thinking about the body that causes the problem? Investigate. Let your doctor take care of your body as you take care of your thinking. I have a friend who can't move his body, and he loves his life because he loves what he thinks. Freedom doesn't require a healthy body. Free your mind and the body will follow. Okay, these are good and y'all are bringing up good stuff, so I'm just going with this and we'll revisit this. Yes, exactly, Rose. So Lauren's question earlier, which may be, it's in line with, the bigger things about war and poverty and all of that. How can I learn to forgive someone who hurt me very badly? And that's where a lot of the challenging situations come in, right? Judge your enemy, write it down, ask 4 questions, turn it around. See for yourself that forgiveness means discovering that what you thought happened didn't. Until you can see that there's nothing to forgive, you haven't really forgiven. We're all innocent. We hurt others because we believe our unquestioned thoughts. No one would ever harm another human being unless they were confused. So whenever you suffer, identify the thoughts you're thinking, write them down, question them, and allow the answers from within to set you free. Be a child. Start from the mind that knows nothing. Take your ignorance all the way to freedom. And as I've said before, she does this with Holocaust survivors. I don't know if there's any left because it's been a while. But, people that have been terrible victims to horrible crimes, everything and anything imaginable. There's nothing that she doesn't do the work with. So there's nothing off limits. So this is called, Britt, the Little Booklet. I can send it to you. It's also on our website. Yeah. So, anything else? Questions, comments, going once, going twice. Hi, Monica. Okay. Take this into your day. I know I will. Because this is part, just like Michael Singer, it's like a reconditioning every moment of your thoughts. And he has, his own way of framing that. And here's another way to frame it. Of not believing the thoughts and the stories every minute. Is it true? Is it true, with my work? Is it true they shouldn't have done that to me? They shouldn't have fucked me over. Y'all that were here in the beginning. I mean, everything and anything. Notice where you're arguing with reality. When I argue with reality, I lose, but only 100% of the time. Katie says, reality is my God, because reality is. What if reality was your God? Wow. That would be the world and everything in it without judgment. And ourselves too. Reality is my God. All of it. All of it. So, yeah. I will see you tomorrow for Saturday Night Live. And we will do cards and Reiki and Ancestral Clearing. And again, if you want to do the work, a worksheet, I'll facilitate it. If you're willing to go there, because look, you got to go there. Send me a message. Okay. Awesome, Lauren. Wendy, see you tomorrow or tonight. Great, April.